romance movies and the beauty of high standards. Let's talk about it. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. This is the second official video on my channel. Very exciting, and we are actually in public today. Not very exciting. Anyways, so today's topic is going to be romance films and the incredibly difficult idea of having high standards. Whenever I get a crush on someone, or I begin a talking stage, or I'm in a relationship perhaps, or even just entertaining the idea of being in a relationship with someone, and I notice myself settling, or I feel like I'm not honoring the goals that I have, not honoring the kind of traits that I want to see in my future partner, I bust out all of my favorite romance films and I watch all of them religiously. Now, why do I do that? Obviously, life is never going to be 100% like a movie, and that's okay, and that's understandable, and it's a realistic notion to have when we enjoy incredible films that show a beautiful side of love that we all wish that we had. Seeing those romance films can remind us of the simple things, or even the more extravagant things that we expect from a partner in relationships, and remind us of what we are worthy of, especially in a modern day where a lot of partners tend to put little to no effort at all towards their relationships. It's very important to remind ourselves of what we are worth, and that we shouldn't be settling just to have company, just because apps like TikTok and Instagram convince us that we are not a whole person without a relationship. That's not true. You are a whole, complete person with or without your partner, if you have one or not. I think romance movies are also a beautiful tool to show you what is possible. I am a really firm believer in someone will do what they feel you deserve, or will treat you as how they respect you. They'll treat you as the same treatment that they think you're worthy of. So when you go around your life demanding a certain level of, and I don't want to say demanding, like I don't mean in a disrespectful way or an aggressive, abrasive way, but when I say demanding, I mean holding yourself to a standard that is respectable. It's a lot easier to weed out the people who aren't looking for those same things, and it saves you a lot of bullshit. For example, one of my favorite movies is the first Descendants movie. Also, I'm really sorry, it's going to be really loud in the background sometimes. I'm hoping that the audio levels are going to be okay. It's a little bit windy today, and I'm by an inlet, so a lot of boats are going in and out and everything. One of my favorite movies of all time is Descendants, the first one. I love watching Mal's inner transformation from becoming such a self-doubtful, deceitful, malicious person into a beautiful princess who learns to love and to love herself, and she realizes through her own identity that she can be whoever she wants to be, and she doesn't have to be who other people expect her to be, specifically her mother. I know it's a kid's movie, but I promise you it actually does have a really beautiful romance if you want to check it out. Prince Ben is absolutely gorgeous, and they are really cute together. But one of the things that I really like about Prince Ben is that when he's conversing with Mal, he takes her on a date, and she's never been on a date before. And so he opens the door to pick her up, and she's standing there all prettied up wearing makeup, which she's never done before, and he just immediately compliments her. And I just think that even simple things like that, I feel like in modern day relationships or situationships, we forget that things like that are important. It's not always about the grand gestures. It's about that little effort that it takes to compliment your partner, telling them that they look nice today, or that you're so happy with them. Little compliments can really add up and just keep the relationship exciting and alive, and can also be a sense of gratitude for yourself. If you're but if you're regularly expressing how you feel about your partner, that reminds them and reassures them that you're in a positive place. And even admitting that you feel that way about someone is a really vulnerable thing to do, as well as it shows a lot of gratitude, because you're expressing gratitude of wow, I get to be with this person and I find them so intelligent, or I find them so beautiful or charismatic or funny, whatever trait it is. It's just a really nice thing to do. While of course the extravagant things are really exciting too, and as later on in the movie when they are on the actual date, Prince Ben sets up a picnic for her as a surprise, and he swims in the lake later on in the scene and picks up a beautiful rock that he tells her to make a wish for. Just sweet things like that, beautiful gestures. I don't remember what it's called, but The movie where this guy, he has like the boombox outside of her bedroom window and he plays music to like get her back. Like, that's so adorable, and that's possible. Like, don't let anyone convince you that that won't happen, or that someone shouldn't get you flowers for no reason, or that someone shouldn't buy you something for your birthday. Don't let misconstrued romance expectations through social media make you think that someone shouldn't be doing those things. I'm not saying be angry with your partner if they don't constantly do all the beautiful things that happen in romance movies, but just know that if you do express interest in those things and your partner does follow through on those things for you, then that's a really great expression of love and gratitude, and that's a positive thing for your relationship. I have not had a lot of luck in dating throughout my life, and the partners that I picked, I tend to like more of the idea of them than who they actually are. I wouldn't say I pick them super well. I can say now, like looking back on all of those things, I cut a lot of time and a lot of mistakes out of my life, or prevented things from happening, by keeping my high standards. I tend to express my standards and my expectations pretty early on when talking to somebody, or even when I have feelings for them and we're like building a friendship. I'll like slowly slip in little tidbits of information of like what I want in a relationship or what I expect for my future. And if that person's not meant for you, that usually scares them off pretty easily. Like, I've had, like, as soon as I tell a guy that, oh, I don't sleep around, or I don't like sleep with anyone, and that I don't plan to anytime soon or anything like that, and no judgment if you do that. It's completely your life and it's your choice, and I completely agree that everyone should have bodily autonomy and do whatever they wish, but it's just not for me personally. And there's no shame in that. But as soon as I tell most guys that, they immediately just unadd me, unfollow me, stop talking to me, whatever. And I mean, by me expressing my standards and my expectations, that saves me so much pain from pursuing a talking stage with someone while not being clear about my expectations, and then like I get super deep into it, and 3 months later I'm like attached to this person, and then all of a sudden I find out they just wanted a casual hookup. So you're saving yourself that time and you're giving yourself a lot of respect by openly expressing your standards and saying, this is what I expect, and I respect myself enough to expect those things and know that I'm worthy of those things. So high standards are really important, even though it can be really lonely sometimes, especially, of course, with social media. It does try to convince us that we are nothing without relationships in our life. That's just not the case. There is so much more to life than relationships, and I know that it's so easy to just say that, but it really is true. And if you're basing your self-worth around whether or not you can pull people, or you can be in relationships, or you're in a relationship or not, you are creating an incredibly self-destructive and damaging pattern for your opinion of yourself for the rest of your life. Because think about it this way: if you're basing your whole life around this one thing, and you cannot control how other people feel about you, how other people treat you, you could be the best partner in the world and still like get cheated on, etc. So if you're basing everything you're doing around that, then you're just setting yourself up for failure. So that's why I think, in my opinion, that's why you have to cultivate your own identity to a point that you're comfortable enough that if somebody decides to just leave or it doesn't work out, then you're not completely blown away by that possibility, and that it's not super unrealistic and damaging for you. I think in an age where a lot of people are lacking a sense of identity, I think that's when a lot of people throw themselves into relationships or situations that they're not exactly ready for, because they don't know how to be anything outside of the affection or validation of another person. So by cultivating that relationship with yourself and putting yourself first and doing all these things and raising your self-esteem and giving yourself the same things that someone else could, you realize that there's not as much value in it, and there's not as much like prestige in it as you originally might have believed that there was. Like, there is so much more that's going to happen in your life before you find that one person. So if you spend your life sitting in your bed being miserable, only thinking about relationships, what are you doing with the time you have right now? Why are you wasting the time you have right now? Because, yeah, sure, you're going to end up with someone eventually. You are going to be in a relationship eventually, and that's going to be great, and that's going to be beautiful, and you're going to have a family if you want one or not. But then you're going to look back on the time that you were single and you had all of this freedom to build yourself up and build your career and build your skills and build who you are as a person, and you're going to be like, God, I wish I appreciated that time more. Please remember, you should always come first. Buy yourself the flowers, take yourself out to dinner, buy yourself that book. Something I like to do on my birthday, at least I did it this past year for my 19th birthday. I went to a bookstore. I bought myself 3 books that were on my wish list that I wanted. I bought myself a little present bag, tissue paper, and I wrote myself a card. And I got some flowers for myself and I put them in water and I left them out on the counter the night before my birthday. And I woke up the next morning and I acted all surprised to see it, even though I knew I got it for myself. And just putting that little bit of effort into myself reminded me that I am worthy of something like that, and it just proves to myself that I can give that to myself. And sure, it's not the same, and it would be lovely if a guy did that for me, absolutely. But it's also important to be able to give those things to yourself so that you realize how simple it is to do those things. So that when someone comes along and they try to make excuses as to why they don't do those things for you, you see right through that bullshit and you don't stay with someone that doesn't actually want you for the reasons that they say they do. Because actions always speak louder than words. And someone can tell you all day long how they feel about you, but if they're not physically expressing and staying up to that standard and keeping that standard, then that's not really who you want to be with. I don't care how many times they say that they're sorry or that they'll change. The actions is what matters, and if you are the right person for them and they are the right person for you, then they're going to change, even though it might be difficult. That's not to say that things will be an overnight change if you're unhappy about something in a relationship, but like I said, keeping those high standards for yourself and taking good care of yourself is really, really important, so that when the right person does come along, they respect you even more and see how well you take care of yourself, and in response give you other things like whether it's physical gifts or better treatment. They'll see how you treat yourself, and only higher value people who feel good about themselves and aren't threatened by that sense of security and sense of self will pursue you. Taking good care of yourself and putting yourself as a priority in your life will push away the people that aren't good for you and aren't meant to be friends with you, or even in a relationship. It'll push those people away, because why would they want to associate with someone who has skills or goals that they don't have? If it doesn't align with them, they're not going to associate with it. So then again, that's another way that you can kind of cut the bullshit out of your life. You can kind of separate yourself from what you don't want in that way. So let's talk a little bit about settling. Every time I can think about a time I was settling and I kind of knew it, at least for me, I feel like you will know when you're settling. You will know based on how you act and the things you're making excuses for that you're settling. I think a lot of us just want relationships so badly that we're willing to excuse so much detrimental behavior that we really don't approve of, just because we are so desperate to have someone hold our hand or call us pretty, or have someone to wake up to text to, or to play volleyball with on the beach, or to meet someone's parents, or to have dinner with their family, or especially in the summer when it's so beautiful out and you really want to have someone around. But let's think about this for a little bit here. Think about, let's say you're with someone right now, or you're in a situationship or a talking stage. Your best friend came to you and described the situation that they're in right now. Would you approve of it? Would you want them to stay with that person? Because if you wouldn't let someone you love so dearly as a best friend stay with someone, why are you staying with someone? You're not worth any less than all the people you love. You're not any better or any worse than all the people that you care for dearly. So why are you allowing yourself to be treated like less than that? You are worth the entire world. And when that final real person does come along, you will realize that fact and you will understand that. But you need to understand that and your own self-worth to the best of your ability before getting into a relationship. You will know in your gut if you don't like to talk about someone, or even if you over-explain, if you have to constantly justify your feelings for someone or why you're with someone to not only your friends around you, but in reality to yourself, you should know that you are settling, and you will know when you do that. If you have to constantly flatter them to other people or over-explain the things that they do, for example, or add a little bit of flair to the stories to make them sound like a better person than they are or a better partner than they are, you're settling. And I know that you're watching this and you know that deep down that that's how you feel. But it feels so scary to let go of them, because what if you never love again? But let me tell you something right now. I don't know how old you are, but whether you have 40 years of your life left, 60 years, 20 years, 10 years of your life left, that someone is going to come along, someone who will make everything worth it and will make everything make sense. So you can't have that. You can't have that better partner if you don't release what isn't serving you right now. You need to let go of what isn't serving you in order to receive that incredible partner that you will be happy with. Settling is never worth it. Each time I've settled in my past relationships or talking stages, I'm glad I did, because I learned something from it. But if I was looking back and I could undo it, I wouldn't have settled, because it wasn't worth it. All the screaming, the fighting, the arguments, or the manipulation, or the money spending guilt, or the dates that ended in crying, or all the nights that I had no friends left because I cut them off because of my partner. None of that was ever worth it to be able to post a picture of having a boyfriend. None of that was worth it to have someone to hold hands with walking down the beach. None of it is worth it. I'm telling you, sacrificing your self-worth and your standards just to have someone is never going to be worth it. And I promise you, you can hold me to this. Come back to this video in 20 years. There is someone out there for you who is going to love and treasure you the way that you deserve. He's going to hold the boombox outside your bedroom window. He's going to throw stones at the window to get you come downstairs. He's going to put your name in a bouquet of flowers. He's going to make you a bouquet of books that you've always wanted, or he's gonna write you handwritten letters. If he goes away on a trip, he's gonna ship you his hoodie to console you while he's gone. All of those beautiful things that you want are absolutely real and are absolutely possible. But you can't have those things if you are not cultivating yourself and making yourself the best person you can be and focusing on yourself. You cannot have that higher value person who will contribute positively to your life if you're not doing that same thing for yourself. If you don't care about yourself and you don't value yourself, how are you supposed to do that same thing for someone else? If you don't even know that behavior, how are you supposed to give that behavior to someone else? So I'm serious. Please take me seriously when I say settling is never, ever, 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 ever worth it. I don't care how handsome they are. I don't care how tall they are. I don't care how much money his family has. I don't care how nice you look on paper. I don't care what he comments under your Instagram posts. If you know you are settling, get ahead of it and get out. Focus on yourself, build your life, build your sense of self-worth, because you have the rest of your life to be in love. You have the rest of your life to be married, be intimate with someone, to go on dates. You have your whole life to do that. You're only going to be this young once. You're only going to have this time to be alone once in your life. So stop thinking about what's next and appreciate what you have right now. The universe never gives someone more if they're not grateful for what they have in the moment. Okay, let's address the really common misconception of if he wanted to, he would. I used to live by that statement, and in some ways I still partially do, but I do think that statement can be really inaccurate sometimes. People are more complicated than if he wanted to, he would. Circumstance, if they're going through something. Yes, I absolutely believe, especially with guys, that if they really do have feelings for you, there are very few, if anything, that will stop them from reaching out to you or complimenting you when you post something or making time to be with you. If they really do want to be with you, they are going to do that. It's true to an extent. However, constantly saying, like, if he wanted to, he would. Why don't we pause for a second and think about how you want to text him right now, but you aren't. So you want to, but you aren't. So why are you holding him to a standard of, oh, if he wanted to be messaging me right now, he would be? If you aren't even acting on that same standard that you're holding someone else to. Because I know I don't text people all the time because I get so nervous about it and I overthink it. What if he's overthinking? What if he's asking his friends what to say? You don't know, especially if this is a very new thing and you don't really know somebody's personality. Like, don't get me wrong here, I'm not making excuses. If someone really does want to pursue you, they will get around to doing it. Like, there will be some kind of communication, there will be some kind of get together, some kind of date, some kind of hangout. But also remember that other people are human beings too, and have parents and have issues in their household, have stress from school or from work. And just as complicated as your mind is, every other human being on this planet has that same level of complication. And I think in my old talking stages, I used to oversimplify people's lives. Like, I used to think to myself that no one's life was as busy or chaotic as mine was. So it doesn't make any sense why he's not making time to communicate with me, because what is he so busy doing? But that's just not the case. People do have lives. People really are busy. Sometimes people don't want to talk, and that doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with you. Sometimes people are just tired and they don't want to talk. So when you're scrolling through your Instagram Reels or TikTok and you're constantly seeing women on podcasts saying, like, if he wanted to, he would, take it with a grain of salt, because there is some truth in that. If someone really does want you, they will put the effort forth. Absolutely. I'm not disagreeing with that whatsoever. However, just try to give people a little bit of grace to understand that some people take midday naps. Some people prefer hanging out with their friends and they're too nervous to pursue something romantic. So seriously, just take me seriously when I say that. Give people some grace and understand that everyone's life is complicated and everybody's going through something. But at the same time, it's a double-edged sword. It's a difficult point to make, because while there is truth in that statement, you still have to find the balance of understanding that if he does really want to pursue you, then absolutely he will put the effort in. But there's also other factors that go into that pursuit. It's not just as simple as, oh, he's not texting me, he doesn't have feelings for me. It's never that simple. And I wish someone would have told me that earlier, because other people have lives, okay? Not everyone spends like 6 hours on TikTok all day. Other people do other things. So don't trick yourself into believing that it's something wrong with you. It's oftentimes a lot more complicated than that, especially considering who you're pursuing or who's pursuing you. I know for me personally, I really like introverted guys, quiet, sweet guys, because I'm very extroverted and I'm very abrasive and very loud. So I really like someone who can balance me out. So when it comes to that pursuit game, it's kind of tough for me, because I'm pursuing like quieter, more reserved people, and then I expect them to pursue me like they're an extroverted person. So you just have to keep that in mind when it comes to your type and your standards. So be realistic, but also hold those expectations. Don't sacrifice your expectations because of those things. So here's another statement I wanted to talk about. Shouldn't your soulmate want to be with you? This is a viral video I saw on Instagram a while back, and I immediately thought of all of my friends who are in situationships or talking stages that are not very fulfilling for them. Shouldn't your soulmate want to be with you? If this guy that you're talking to, or girl, really is the person for you, shouldn't you not have to beg them to put in that effort that you want from them? If this person really is who you're meant to spend the rest of your life with, do you really want to have to claw and drag that conscious effort out of them every single day? Do you really want to build a relationship with someone who couldn't be bothered to text you good morning or good night, or doesn't want to make plans, doesn't want to spend time with you? your dream person should want to spend time with you. So stop putting labels on people that you're not really actually supposed to be with. If you have to consciously pull that effort out of them and it feels like you're pulling teeth, that's not the person for you. Your soulmate is going to want to be with you. Your soulmate is going to be patient and treasure you and treat you exactly how you dreamed of being treated. So let go of that stupid 5'9", doesn't brush his teeth, has Mountain Dew for breakfast, greasy boy who doesn't actually care about you and is not your soulmate. I promise you, they're not your soulmate. This is just a little experience you're having right now, okay? You should not have to force someone to want to be with you. If they don't want to be with you, that's their loss. So just let it go. It's gonna suck, sure. It's gonna suck for a little while when you let them go. But something else is coming. Something better is coming, and you just have to trust that, even though it's scary. Let's talk a little bit about friendship. No, friendship and love are not the same thing. Friendship is still extremely important. We learn so many things about ourselves and how to be a better person and who we really are through friendships. My female friendships have been 10 times more fulfilling than any relationship I've ever been in. Even my friendships with the opposite sex, I can say I've learned so much, and it's incredibly important to have friendships from both sides. Obviously, for totally different reasons, you can just learn different things from different people, but having friends that you feel like you can fall back on and people you can spend time with and be your true self is incredibly important because it fosters healthy relationships. Friendships are just as much of a relationship. It teaches you healthy communication. It teaches you the art of gift giving and the art of reaching out to someone and checking on them and helping them through a tough time. Those things are important, and those skills can be learned through friendships. Beautiful memories are made through friendships that aren't made anywhere else. So when I tell you friendship is not the same as love, no, it's not the same. And I hated when people would be like, oh, just spend time with your friends if you're lonely. It's a different kind of loneliness to want to be in a relationship and not having that. But I promise you, friendships will fulfill you in a different way that is absolutely beautiful and needs to be treasured, because we don't know how long we're going to have the people that we have in our life. So while it's not the same, it's still important. So don't skip out on that party that you got invited to because you don't have a partner to go with. Go and cultivate those friendships. Make new friends. Talk to people. Learn yourself. Make jokes. Make people laugh. Have fun. Enjoy your time with your friends, because it's just as limited as any other time in your life, even if not more so. I remember a few years ago I used to work at a certain food chain, and I remember I very quickly became friends with a lot of people that worked there, and I have some of my favorite memories in my life from that friend group, and I still talk to almost all of them very regularly and still see them all the time. And I wish, there's a quote from The Office, Andy Bernard says on the last episode, where he says, I wish there was a way to know you were in the good old days before you've actually left them. It's a very beautiful quote, and it's true. I wish I would have realized how special those moments of mopping floors and throwing bagels at each other would have been all this time later, and I wish that I had appreciated it even just a little bit more. So please appreciate your friendships, value them, and I promise you, the better of a friend you can be is the better of a relationship partner you will be. I know how hard it is to be alone sometimes. I know how hard it is to be single. Trust me, I'm a writer, I'm a huge romantic, which, by the way, I do have a poetry book on Amazon. I'll put a picture of it right here, and it will be linked down below if you do want to check me out, which talks a lot about my high school experience, all the way from freshman year to senior year, and all the struggles I went through, specifically with romance. A lot of poems are about that. I know how hard it can be to be in your room, staring up at the ceiling and being on your TikTok For You page and looking at these videos of these couples who look so beautifully, effortlessly happy, but that's not reality. Sure, those videos are really cute, but you really don't know what's going on behind closed doors on those videos, so please don't be fooled by people showing you what they want you to see. Social media is not the whole movie, it's just the highlights. Okay, please remember that, because people are showing you what they want you to see. I've known many people personally who have the most beautiful relationship ever on social media, but then you meet them in real life or you hear about their relationship and it's incredibly, incredibly toxic and unfulfilling for both parties. That's why it's really important to remember, you're only seeing what they want you to see. If they were fighting and crying and screaming at each other, or there was any kind of abuse going on, why would they post that? Because that's not what they want you to see. You just have to, when it comes to relationships and love and the future, you really just have to trust that something beautiful is coming for you. Something incredible and fulfilling and satisfying and something that is worth it is coming for you. You just have to be patient. And I hate hearing that. I get it, okay? I'm here, I'm listening to you. I totally understand that it sucks to hear that, but just because it sucks doesn't mean it's not true, okay? It's true. There is something beautiful in that, and the more you believe that and you focus on other things, the universe will give you that abundance and will see that you're working hard at yourself. And when the universe feels like you're ready, then that person will be coming to you. Please just, you really just have to trust in the world's timing and understand that there is so much more to your story than romance. Your book is not just romance. Your book is happiness, friendship, career success, joy, love, sadness, tragedy, loss, anxiety, excitement, summers, winters, spring, falls, school years, pool days, beach days, movie nights, journaling nights, nights of crying, nights of driving in your car listening to music. Your life is so much more than just a relationship. So cultivate that. I'm serious. Date yourself. Take yourself out on dates. I like to take myself out to dinner every now and then, and it's a great thing because I love myself and I know that I'm worthy of that. I buy myself flowers all the time. I buy myself books, and sure, maybe I justify my spending habits with books by calling it self-love, but do it. Okay? It's worth it, I promise. Cultivate your habits. Do things you love. Have hobbies. Okay? There's nothing wrong with any of that. There's so many scenes in romance movies where the main characters are focusing on themselves and reading books or studying or out with their friends, and that's for a reason. That shows that there's more to life than just the romance of the film. However, something that is a little misleading about romance films is we don't see a lot of scenes of that. It's mainly the romance scenes because that's what the film is about. But they don't show you their awkward times before that. Like, they don't show you all the family dinners they have, or they don't show you when they go out by themselves, because that's not the focus of the film. But that's not real life. There is so much more to every day than going out with your partner. As fun as that can be, and that can be a great thing, but there is a lot more to life than just that, so keep that in mind. I've never met someone who regretted waiting. So this is more specifically about physical intimacy. So like I said before, I'm very conservative about those things. I don't sleep with people. I never have. I don't really hook up with anyone in any nature of the word. That's just not for me. And let me tell you something right now. Even if you are sexually promiscuous right now as a person, that doesn't mean that you have to stay that way, okay? You can reinvent yourself or redefine your morals or change your mind about anything and everything whenever you like. Don't feel obligated to keep doing a certain behavior because that's what you've always done. Humans are known to adapt and change, and you are allowed to do that. Give yourself permission to change your habits if that's what you want to do. Again, if you don't, no judgment whatsoever. Live your life how you please. But I will say, my family or with my friends, I have never met someone specifically about sex. I've never met someone who regretted waiting for the right person. I could go and list hundreds of names all day long of people who regret not waiting and just getting it over with and treating virginity and sex like it wasn't a big deal. I could literally talk all day about that. People who regret not waiting and people who regret not having higher standards and wish that they could go back and undo it. You can do that too. okay? You don't let social media or modern pressures of being sexually promiscuous trick you into doing something that you don't want to do. If that's not something you identify with and you don't want to do it, then don't do it. You won't regret waiting for someone who actually respects and cares about you enough to make that a good experience for you. You'll never regret that. Why would you regret that? You're protecting yourself. You're protecting that special thing. Sex is a very special, special thing that should be shared between two people who love each other very much. In my personal opinion, of course, that doesn't apply to you if you don't believe that, like I said. But I just really want to emphasize, I've never met someone who regretted, even with just kissing, I've never met someone who regretted waiting for their first kiss or their first partner. They saved themselves so much bullshit, so much lies, so much pain by waiting until they found someone who really respected and cared about them. Even if you don't end up marrying that person or end up with them forever, that doesn't mean that you didn't learn anything from it, and that doesn't mean that it wasn't a good experience for you. So please don't let anyone shame you or make you feel guilty about waiting. Because if that's what you want, then honor that. I didn't have my first kiss until I was 16, and I don't regret a thing about it. It was with my first boyfriend. It was a cute, adorable high school experience, and I don't regret that. And I'm glad that I waited, because if I had kissed or been in a relationship with all the people before that tried to get me to do that, I can absolutely look back and tell you that I would regret that. Absolutely. No, not a doubt about it. And looking back, if I had been intimate with any of the people that I was involved with romantically, I absolutely would have regretted it. I promise you, that frat guy, Brad, you're not missing anything, okay? Your life's not gonna change from sleeping with him, okay? So don't feel pressure to do something just because it's the modern culture. Embrace originality, embrace tradition if that's what you're into, and don't do it. So let's talk a little bit more about what I was said before about having high standards saves you a lot of bullshit. Guys love to lie. There's this quote, men fall for what they see, women fall for what they hear. That's why women wear makeup and men lie. I don't think I've ever heard a more accurate sentence in my life. Men really do lie, and I promise you that they will tell you that they love you, they'll tell you that they plan to marry you, they'll tell you the most poetic, romantic things you've ever heard in your entire life, just to get you to sleep with them. Having high standards and being firm in them and saying, hey, listen, I don't know what you're expecting from this, but this is what I'm expecting, blah, 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 blah. That will save you so much bullshit, because if you're honest from the get-go, a guy is not going to pursue something with someone that doesn't see eye to eye with him. Like, if he wants a hookup and you're explicitly saying, hey, that's really not what I want, I would say probably 9 times out of 10 he'll stop pursuing you, and you'll see those true colors, and it will save you a lot of heartache, okay? So trust me when I say having self-respect and setting expectations of, hey, I'm looking for a relationship right now, or hey, I'm not looking for something serious, but if you want to pursue me, I expect this and this and this, will save you a lot of bullshit in your life. Trust me, okay? From personal experience. Saved me a lot of bullshit in my life. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to list out some of my favorite romance movies of all time, and I'll put them here, and I'll explain a little bit why I love them so much. So, number 1, the first Descendants movie. There are so many beautiful things about this film. It's got great music, it's got great costumes, it's just a really good feel-good film that reminds me of being a little girl and reminds me of all the beauty that comes with loving princesses and strength in being who you are and figuring out your identity and figuring out that you don't have to be who others expect you to be, and you can be whoever you want to be. Second one is A Walk to Remember. I just recently watched this movie, and I have to say, it was one of my favorite romance movies of all time. It is such a beautiful film that I really didn't like the male love interest in the first hour of the movie, but then as time went on and he changed and he grew, it's a stunning film with a fantastic soundtrack, and it's perfect for a rainy day and making cookies with your girlfriends. So I really, really highly recommend, and oh my gosh, it's a beautiful movie, and you will cry, so please prepare to cry. My next favorite film is The Pride and Prejudice 2004 with Keira Knightley, and girl, if you know, you know. There's nothing that beats this movie. It's got to be my favorite of all time. I love period pieces. I love Jane Austen, so it's a stunning film visually, costume-wise. All the performances are absolutely fabulous, and I cry every time at the end. Even though it's a happy ending, I absolutely sob because it is it is exactly my romance expectations in a nutshell. The high expectations of self-respect and the expectations of I want him to be absolutely in love with me and so dedicated to me and write me letters. So I highly recommend. It is a must-see for any girl out there. Like, please. Any feminine presenting person, you have to watch this movie. It is stunning. Honestly, anybody could watch it, male or female or non-binary, whatever you identify as. It's just a beautiful film. Again, wonderful soundtrack. I couldn't hype it up enough, to be honest with you. I love Elizabeth Bennet. My dream is actually to be Elizabeth Bennet and Mr. Darcy for Halloween with a future partner of mine. So, yeah, he's got to coordinate the Halloween outfits. If he wants to be with me, he's got to coordinate. Next is Love Everlasting, featuring Lucky Blue Smith as the male love interest lead. It's not a great performance film, to be totally honest with you. It's not a fantastic movie, but I really like the storyline and I really identified with the female main character. Trigger warning, there is self-harm, suicidal ideation. There is death in the movie as well, but it is a beautiful film that I think really shows the importance of mental health. And it's a really easy watch. I would say it's a really quick film is what I mean. It's not easy. It does deal with some heavy themes. It's a great film and I really highly recommend it. The live action Cinderella movie. Okay, if you haven't caught on by now, I love fantasy princess stuff. The live action Cinderella has got to be the best Disney remake of anything that they've done so far. It is so beautiful. Everything about that film is wonderful. The lead actress just perfectly captures her. Perfectly captures Cinderella as a person, and the lifestyle that she lives is really something that I want for myself, so that's why I love it so much. But the love story is really beautiful, even though it is simple. Again, it's about identity and not letting titles or societal expectations define us. So I highly recommend, if you haven't already seen it, the ballroom scene and the scene where he touches the back of her dress, literally gasp every time. Life-changing. Practical magic. While the romance isn't the main plot line of this movie, it is, I would say, the B plot. It is a pretty prominent storyline. That movie is just incredible overall, for so many different reasons. I'm saying the same thing about every single movie, every single time, so forgive me for that. But visually, it's a stunning movie. Some really big names in that film. And if you're witchy and you like anything when it comes to nature magic or traditional ways of life, fantastic film, highly recommend. My final romance film recommendation is I think it's 1994-1995 Sense and Sensibility. Again, some really, really big names, very big about yearning and waiting and deep, true, genuine love that stands the test of time. It is a period piece as well, but it's also incredibly beautiful watch. And it's really heartwarming. Even though some of the characters very much piss me off, it's a great film, and I highly recommend. So my favorite thing to do when I watch romance films is I put my hair in curlers, and then I get a matching PJ set. I bake cookies. I like to do this when it's raining outside. I don't know why. I just love the coziness of rainy weather. I get a really, really soft blanket, put on a face mask, and then I watch a romance movie. So please do this. It's a beautiful self-love routine. I really highly recommend, and hopefully, you guys enjoy those films. Leave comments down below what your favorite movies are, or if you do end up watching them, what you think about them. That's going to conclude our video for today. I know we went on a lot longer than the last video, but I really do have a lot to say about this topic. I am very passionate about having high standards when it comes to romance. I am a really, really big believer in that high standards are worth it. And even though I may not know for certain yet if they are worth it, I really, really do believe that. And I know that my Prince Charming is coming one day. And I have a lot of faith that I'm going to have a beautiful life and a beautiful relationship when that man does eventually decide to show up. Keep your high standards. Maintain that truth within yourself. Cultivate that relationship with yourself. Love yourself. Take care of yourself. Take care of your friends. Tell your family you appreciate them. And I promise you, those movies all that stuff that happens in them is absolutely possible for you. So don't sacrifice your high standards just for a little bit of affection. Don't go looking for affection in the wrong places. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm really honored to have you with me. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Even share the video if you like, and make sure to follow my Instagram, which is down in the description box below. So yeah, once again, thank you so much for joining me, and I really hope you enjoyed today's video, and have a great day and have a fun 4th of July, guys. See ya.